Rebecca Koster is out at a bar with her boyfriend.
She was a pretty young woman, liked to have a good time.
Then another man hits on the gregarious beauty.
They met that night at the bar, but that was really all that we knew. We didn't know anything.
And Rebecca mysteriously vanishes that very same night.
We searched, we watched, day and night.
Until she turns up murdered in the most gruesome of ways.
You refer to the suspect as an it.
Yes,
Why do you do that?
because what it did to my daughter, no human being could do. That's a demon that does something like that.
To die the way she did, as young as she was, just 24, and so full of life, made Rebecca's murder all the more tragic.
It was very rare she had a bad day.
Bubbly, lively. She loved everything and everyone.
Absolutely, Rebecca had a blast. Anytime she went out, she enjoyed herself to the fullest, which means everyone else did too.
Such is the case when Rebecca, a home healthcare aide in Medford on New York's Long Island, steps out to have some fun at local bars with boyfriend Dan Mayer, her best friend Nicole Longo, and a couple of other friends.
We had a drink, we had a good time.
What was Becky like that night? Was she having fun?
Yeah, she was great.
So everything between Becky and Dan was great that night.
Fine, everything was fine.
Nicole leaves early, not knowing it would be the last time she would see lifelong friend Rebecca alive.
What was the last thing Becky said to you when she left?
I'll talk to you later. See you later. Love you. Bye. And that was it.
It is in the early hours of the morning that a mysterious stranger strikes up a conversation with Rebecca as she's getting a drink. The encounter is captured on surveillance video that the police have not released, but which Rebecca's family has seen.
And we can see him interacting with her. At one point on the video, he takes her phone and he puts his number in.
What we know is that she was here with her boyfriend Dan and a couple of other friends. They say they dropped her off at her house and she text messaged her mother,
who is a nurse working the night shift. She had asked Rebecca to let her know she got home safely. And all seems normal when Mom Barbara gets home in the morning.
Her car, her pocketbook's there.
But Rebecca is not, nor is her cell phone. And when she doesn't answer text or turn up for work, Barbara gets worried and talks to boyfriend Dan.
He assured me that he had dropped Becky off around 3, that he saw her into the house, and that was the last he had seen her.
The police are notified Rebecca is missing, and family and friends begin their own search for her, guided by a computer device that tracks the location of her phone.
We got cell phone service pings, and it would bring us to all these different places.
We're all trying to figure out where Becky is. We're all making phone calls.
We made flyers, we went out, we searched.
I don't know where she could have been. Anything's possible, so we have to look everywhere.
We had teams. We split up. We were everywhere. We were everywhere.
We went dumpsters, garbage cans, everything.
We just were knocking on doors, looking. Couldn't find her.
Then, 3 days after Rebecca's disappearance, Barbara gets a text message from her daughter's phone.
And what did it say?
Saying that, Dan has her. She doesn't know where she is. She needs help.
She's basically being held hostage.
Yes.
So what do you do?
Right away, I panicked. I called her back. It dialed 911.
The search party of friends and family goes straight to Dan's house, arriving at the same time as police.
You opened his home. They went in, they searched.
Yes.
She's nowhere to be found.
And she wasn't there.
Did you think Dan had something to do with this?
I wasn't sure. I had no idea.
Then, just a few hours later, Barbara gets another text from Rebecca's phone.
It said that Dan had her tied up in a basement.
Adding, quote, "Don't tell Dan or he'll kill me." and friends and family immediately follow the phone pings, converging on the industrial area of Comac, about 20 miles from their Medford home.
Screaming her name and banging on doors and just, no Becky.
Barbara is distraught.
Can't sleep, don't want to eat, it's where is she, where is she? And why isn't this working? Why can't we find her?
Neither the family nor the police can fathom why Rebecca would text her mother instead of calling or texting 911.
I'm feeling completely lost at this point. It doesn't make sense. Can't put these pieces of the puzzle together because something's just not right. Something doesn't fit.
But Barbara clings to the hope her daughter is still alive.
I had friends that went to psychics and they said, she's fine. She's gonna come home alive. She's just in a dark place, but they're gonna find her and she's gonna come home.
Then, tragic news.
I just remember saying, don't say it. Don't say it. I grabbed my coat and ran outside.
Just a day after 24-year-old Rebecca Koster mysteriously vanished, a Jane Doe was found murdered in a field in North Stonington, Connecticut, just 85 miles from Rebecca's home in Medford, Long Island. Reportedly, the body had been stabbed and horribly mutilated and burned beyond recognition.
It was difficult to identify them because all the fingertips were missing, the toes were missing, her face had been cut off, nose, ears. There was nothing obviously identifiable about her.
Except for the teeth, says Newsday reporter Andrew Smith.
And ultimately that's how they made the identification, through dental records.
And 6 days after her disappearance comes the tragic news that the Jane Doe is Rebecca.
At which point I didn't want to hear another word. I just remember saying, don't say it. Don't say it.
It was sad. It was very sad. You don't hear things like that for people that you know. You read them in the newspaper, you hear it on the news. You never, ever think you're gonna go through something like that.
No human being could do. That's a demon that does something like that.
Friends and family think that demon could be Rebecca's boyfriend of just a few months, Dan Mayer.
Did you think that Dan was going to be arrested?
Yes, I did. I didn't think who else to think, you know.
What would his motive be?
We don't know. Jealousy?
If he perhaps saw Rebecca talking with the man who had hit on her at one of the bars they were at the night of her disappearance. Dan is also one of the last to see Rebecca before she vanishes, dropping her home that night. And it is Dan who some believe to be holding her captive in a basement, based on texts sent from Rebecca's cell phone to her mother. But New York Newsday reporter Andrew Smith says investigators believed he was innocent.
The police were satisfied that he was telling the truth and that Becky was not there.
Andrew Smith says police learned from Rebecca's phone records that she'd received 2 calls from someone else about an hour after Dan had dropped her at home and just before she disappeared.
They have his phone number, they figure out who that phone number belongs to, and also track where that phone has been, and it leads detectives to him.
He is 33-year-old Evans Ganthier, the mystery man who had been seen exchanging phone numbers with Rebecca in the bar.
He denies having anything to do with it, and they let him go because the police believe that they don't have enough to hold him at that point.
Andrew Smith says police obtained search warrants for Ganthier's home and SUV.
They find blood in various parts of that car.
And although they don't find blood in the house,
they do find indications that there's been some recent cleaning there on the garage floor.
Ganthier reportedly admits he called Rebecca about an hour after she left the bar and claims
that he brought her back to his place. She started to get ill, started to cough and maybe foam at the mouth. And then she tripped on some dumbbells in his garage and went down and was unconscious.
According to Smith, Ganthier tells police that discovering Rebecca is dead, he panics, mutilates and dismembers her body to prevent identification, wraps it in plastic bags and a blanket, puts it in the trunk of his SUV, then drives onto a car-carrying ferry near his home in Port Jefferson and crosses Long Island Sound to Connecticut, where he dumps Rebecca's remains and sets them on fire.
He's seen on surveillance video on the ferry, walking around like any other passenger.
As if there wasn't a body in his car.
That's right, as if nothing were wrong.
Police don't believe Ganthier's claim that Rebecca's death was an accident and say he stabbed her to death.
Where do investigators believe Rebecca was murdered?
Investigators, in the end, believe that she was probably murdered in his car, simply because of the amount of blood that was found in the car and where it was found. There was blood pooled sort of beneath the seat near the center console.
And police reportedly have all the evidence they need to charge Ganthier with Rebecca's murder when forensic experts uncover one tiny vital clue that he failed to erase by mutilating and setting her body on fire.
They dust the duct tape that the body was wrapped in, and they find a fingerprint.
It led back to him.
Comes back to Ganthier.
Ganthier is charged with second-degree murder and ultimately convicted and sentenced to the max of 25 years to life. But that's still not much comfort to Rebecca's grieving family and friends.
He could have gotten 100 years to life. It wouldn't make it right. Yes, he's behind bars. He can't do this to anyone else. I hope he suffers every year behind bars.
Rebecca's mom, Barbara, who refers to Ganthier as it, vows she will do all she can to see that he is never released.
It can't hurt anybody right now. And when it comes up for parole, I will be there. We'll all be there.
Why should he be able to breathe the same air we all breathe? Why should he walk the streets that we walk? We didn't do that to his family, he did it to ours.
And Barbara, who still wears a photo of Rebecca around her neck, has a warning for other trusting young people like her daughter.
There are monsters out there and they look like people. Becky trusted. And she paid dearly for it. And if I could reach just one person, male or female, make them think twice about trusting someone that they don't know and saves their life, then she didn't die in vain.